Okay, gang, we got cut off a little bit, and I'm not sure exactly where we got cut off at, but this is the tail end of section 2.2. We'll call it part 3. It'll be a short one. We just got to finish up what we had. I'm trying to show you some special cases, and on this one, it works out your solution. There is no solution. And somewhere in here, I know it got cut off, but kind of reviewing the process, though. You already had a 1 here, so we got our 2 zeros. So the first column was done. Then you go to the second column. We're going to get that 2. We want to change that into a 1, so we take half of row 2. That gives us these numbers. Once you have a 1 here, that's your pivot for the second column. Then you want to get a 0 up here and a 0 down below. To get a 0 on top, you're simply going to take row 2 plus row 1. That gives you 1, 0, 0, 4. Second row stays the same. On the bottom, you're going to multiply by 2, actually negative 2, and add, because I'm using that pivot, and that gives you 0, 0, 0, 3. So what you notice on the bottom, that's 0x plus 0y plus 0z equals 3, or basically, that's really 0. So when is 0 equal to 3? You heard me say that in the last section. 0 is never equal to 3, therefore you have no solution. Okay, so that's one special case. We talk about unique solutions. Most of your answers will be unique solutions. A unique solution means you're going to find exactly 1 point for the answer. But sometimes there are no points. That's when you come up with no solution. The third situation happens when basically the lines are on top of each other. So we're going to do this one. We'll finish up here. So we're going to have 2, 2, 4, 8, 1, negative 1, 2, and 2, negative 1, 5, negative 2, and 2. So we start with the first column. And in the diagonal, that's where you want your 1s. I got to get a 1 where the 2 is. I'm simply going to take 1/2 row 1. So half of 2 is 1. That's my pivot. Half of 2 is 1 again. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 8 is 4. Second row stays the same. Third row stays the same. So again, we're working on the first column. You get the first column before you go to the second column. Once we have a 1 here, that becomes our pivot. We're going to use that 1 to get zeros elsewhere in the column. Top row is going to stay the same. You'll notice I do not circle the pivot. I only circle it once. To get a 0 here, I'm going to multiply the top row by negative 1 and add to row 2. So that's negative row 1 plus row 2. So negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Negative 1 and negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 and 2 is 0. Negative 4 and 2 is negative 2. For the bottom row, I'm going to take row 1 plus row 3 to make those drop out. By the way, you'll never see a subtraction here. If you ever put a subtraction there, I'll stop grading right there and you don't go any farther. Never ever put a minus over it. It's always a plus. 1 plus negative 1 is 0. 1 plus 5 is 6. 2 plus negative 2 is 0. 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay? Again, the first column is done. I go to the second column. I got to get a 1 where the negative 2 is. So the top row stays the same. It gets a little repetition because you're copying the same rows over and over at times. This top row hadn't changed since the very beginning. But it's better than having the x's and the y's and all that involved. To get a 1 here, we're going to multiply by negative 1/2 times row 2. So negative 1/2 times 0 is 0. Negative 1/2 times negative 2 is 1. That's going to be my pivot for the second column. Negative 1/2 times 0 is 0, and negative 1/2 times negative 2 is 2. I'm sorry, 1. Start thinking ahead. Just number 1. And the bottom row stays the same. Okay. So we want to get a 0 on top. Row 2 is my pivot, so I'm going to take negative 1 times row 2, add it to row 1. So negative 1 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is still 1. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus the 1 on up here is 0. Negative 1 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1, plus 4 is 3. Second row stays the same. Bottom row, I want to get a 0 where the 6 is, so I'm going to multiply by negative 6 times row 2 plus row 3. Negative 6 times 0 is 0, plus 0 is still 0. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 and positive 6 is 0. Negative 6 times 0 is 0, plus 0 is 0. And negative 6 plus 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. Okay, do you see something? Look at the bottom row. This means 0x plus 0y plus 0z equals 0. This whole thing here is 0, so I ask you, when is 0 equal to 0? Well, pretty much all the time. That means you've got two lines that are on top of each other. So on the other one, we had 0 equals some other number, so 0 is never equal to that. So I got no solution. When you get this, this is an infinite solution. And that would be your answer. Okay, that ends section 2.2. We started out where I gave you some guidelines on Gaussian elimination, and then I worked one example where you got a unique solution. Then I worked an example where you got the empty set or no solution. And then this was another example where you got an infinite solution. Okay, that's it. See you next time.